Oh boy. Hey, good morning. Good morning, guys. It's KL. Wanted to finish up part two. Hey, thank you for the hearts. I wanted to finish up part two from yesterday, dealing with low self-esteem. Before I get into it, I'm going to give folks a chance to jump on. I want to give a shout out to my girl, Phoenix Rain. I was just on her Periscope. And as an author, I think you really should listen to her messages as a writer. And she talked about, being compared to other writers and the particular way that she writes. And I have to respect that because I'm that way. Oh, no problem, love. I write from my heart, and I'm going to write the way I enjoy writing, and I am going to write the way that I feel people can take from it, the way that I can give the message. And if folks don't like it, they don't like it. But I have as many folks that like it, so I don't stress. So I definitely want to give a shout out to my girl Phoenix Rain. I'm gonna get to reading your book. I'm not gonna lie, I have a ton of books on my iPad to get to, but I did win the book, so I'm going to take the time out to read it so I can judge for myself what you're talking about. But if you were with me yesterday, I was talking about low self-esteem, and I wanted to do a part two because in speaking about low self-esteem and feeding emotional vampires, today I wanted to discuss the role society and your friends play in what's going on. And I think as a fan and a lover of full-figured women, and when I say that, it is because if you ask me what I'm attracted to, I'm going to tell you sexy starts at size 16. Now, that doesn't mean that women under size 16 aren't sexy. I'm just telling you what my particular preference is. My wife is full-figured. She's a full-figured pageant queen. She's beautiful, but I've always found full-figured women attractive. But society tries to shape the way women should feel about themselves, actually the way people should feel about themselves, because it helps sell whatever. It helps make money. But the other side of that coin is it destroys people personally. It destroys people emotionally, spiritually, and then they carry that into the relationships. Now, as the emotional pimp that I was, I would look for folks who were damaged by society because it opened up the door to be the emotional vampire that I was. So in the conversation, you would automatically know that you're dealing with a woman that's been beat up by society. So all I had to be was everything society wasn't to her. All I had to be was the Prince Charming. All I had to do was be the communicator, be everything that society says she couldn't have. Because now she was stuck. Society says you can't have this, but here he is sitting right in front of you. So even though a part of you is thinking, this is too good to be true, you go along with it, and your self-esteem is slowly getting lower. See, understand the emotional vampire is not attempting to build you up in any way. I don't care if the words that he gives you are tremendously positive. Check yourself. Take a step back and consider, why is he giving you all these compliments if he doesn't know you yet? See, as I said yesterday, compliments are okay, but you got to see where they come from and how they are coming and who are they benefiting. Whether you believe it or not, some men give women compliments just because they want to check their game. Let me see if my game's still tight. Hey, sexy. And you smile. They don't have any intention of talking to you. They just want to make sure that they can still get a reaction from women, so they check in their game. And when you have low self-esteem, you turn that into, oh, he thought I was cute. Oh, he digging me. When a man sees that and he's not about you, there's the door opener. Now, let's turn this around and let's teach. Let's talk now. How do we defend against that? Well, the first start is either get out your mirror or understand that when you step into your mirror, it is a reflection. It is not the reality unless you bring it to the mirror. Which means when you look in that mirror, whatever you see, you can change instantly. I'm a big dude, but I'm handsome. Yes, I am. I'm a handsome dude. Call it arrogance, call it vanity, but it's not. It's confidence. I've always been this way because I was not going to allow somebody else to dictate how I look. Now, does that mean I can walk into a room and women are going to fawn over me? Of course not. I'm not Denzel. I'm not Idris Elba. Their looks and their abilities are going to cause women initially to just react to them walking in the room. But you sit down and let me have a conversation with you. You sit down and let me beat up your eardrums a little bit. You're going to realize that I'm not like every other dude. You're going to realize that I could be somebody special. So all of a sudden, you start to lower the gates. The defenses start to drop down a little bit. He sounds so delightful. He's charming. Oh, the way he communicates, the way he seems to understand everything that I am about. I didn't do anything but give you a whole lot of fluff. A real conversation is mutual. A real conversation is, how are you doing? How is your day? How can we make this day better? Our conversation is as much about me listening to you as you listening to me, and we enjoying each other's conversation, not struggling for control within the conversation. Society helps many pimps. And I call them pimps because what does a pimp do? Turns a woman out to go out on the street, to give away her body, to turn around and give the money to him. Well, what do you think an emotional pimp does? Turns you out, gets you to give him what he wants, and in some cases, let's keep it real, call him daddy. Now, we've all been there, and we've all been misled by people that we care about. Now, that's going to lead me to my next point of friends. When you have society beating you in your head about what a woman should look like, what a man should look like, what sexy is, the top 10, 50 sexy people, to who? I look at these lists and I'm disgusted by some of the people that they think are sexy. So I'm like, who are they talking to? Who did they actually survey for this? So I automatically disconnect. That's one thing I want to teach you first before I get to the friends. If you automatically see it doesn't connect to you, disconnect. Right then and there. Don't try to ration it out. Don't try to figure it out. If it don't connect to you, disconnect from it. Don't even let it pass your eye gates, your ear gates. Stop it. Do not let it inside your head. For a vampire to be his most effective, because they can be killed. You've seen the movies. Well, now these horrible movies have now turned vampires into objects of affection. Please, I'm a Christian. I realize that the devil has to change his game around because we start to figure things out, even though he keeps some things consistent. Let's look at what vampire movies used to be. The vampire was somewhat smooth. He went after the pretty woman. The gorgeous man destroyed the vampire. Gorgeous man, gorgeous woman run off into the sunset. Now we change it up and we have the gorgeous woman falling in love with the gorgeous vampire, and the regular church folks are crazy now. The regular folks who want to kill the vampires are crazy. But this is making millions of dollars. So how do we kill a vampire? Simply, once you stab him through the heart, that's it. Or whatever ways. But the key was not falling prey to what he says or she says. Not being bitten by that vampire so you would turn into one. That doesn't change, and that's the reason why I used that as my explanation for emotional vampires. Once bitten by someone and they steal something from you emotionally, that bitterness seeps in to where you start to change who you are and what you are to everyone that you meet. And in some cases, your self-esteem becomes so low, you become an emotional vampire to others that you meet. You destroy the good dude when he shows up. You become bitter and sullen. And again, now back to the friends. We have to be careful who we surround ourselves with. Now, I'm not telling you to run out and cut off your friends by no stretch. But if you have to, like I said before, if it doesn't serve you and make you better, get rid of it. Friends too. I'm not worried about how somebody feel if I deem them unhealthy to me. If I deem you unhealthy to me, you have to go. I'm not worried about how much you cry. I'm not worried about how much we've served in the past. I don't care how many sinful things we did, and we both know where the bodies, condoms, and everything else is buried. Once I deem you unhealthy to me spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever, sexually, whatever, you got to go. If we keep our circles filled with individuals who have the same foolishness going on through them that we are going through, the hole that we are in has now expanded because we have to make room for the other fools that's down there with us. A real friend, now listen to me here, a real friend is not only searching for ways to pull themselves out of the hole, and thank you for the hearts. I'm sorry that I'm not acknowledging them. I appreciate the hearts dearly. A real friend is not only searching for a way out of that hole for themselves. In the back of their mind, they're already saying, I got to pull my friend out with me. Or, girl, listen, I'm going to get out this hole first, and then I'm going to turn around and reach back down and get you. But if you're sitting around with a bunch of folks who's sitting looking as sorry as you are, feeling as sorry as you are, drinking bottle after wine, bottle of wine, because Moscato sales have went up in the last 10 years, and Moscato ain't nothing but fake Riunite and Canai, and all my old heads know what I'm talking about. That's all it is. Don't get fooled. You're just paying a whole lot of extra money for wine that's been repackaged. I'm sorry, I can't fall for that. Real friends are finding ways to better themselves and the people in their circles. And if push come to shove, they'll better you first because they trust you as a friend, and then say, you go get help and come back and save me. That's what a real friend does. Will sacrifice themselves to see you do better. So if you're looking around you and you don't have any friends that's uplifting you, actually saying to you, girl, stop getting up under this dude, getting up under that dude. Yo, that dude ain't no good. If you actually got friends that's saying foolishness like this, oh, girl, go ahead. You know you ain't had none. Just do you. It's all right. Listen, men are going to be men. Yeah, okay. Come on. I mean, listen, so what? He's married. Listen, at least he's spending time with you. Half these dudes out here don't spend no time with you. So what? He got a couple of babies. At least he takes care of yours. First of all, let me explain something to you. Do you know that stupid friends are the greatest allies to an emotional vampire? Do you know that? If you start to close the door to me and I know that you have a stupid friend, I go to her. Girl, you know how good I've been to her, except them days I cheated on her. Talk to her. Come on, why she just gonna close the door? I ain't been good to her? Come on. How many times we done hung out, I done got y'all drunk. And the stupid friend gets on the phone and says, girl, listen. And there's the self-esteem climbing deeper and deeper and deeper. And then the funny thing is, when it blows up in your face, well, girl, I can't make you do nothing. You chose to do what you did. Really? Really? So you have to understand, your brain is more intricate than you realize. We only use 10% of our brain. And I believe that's because the Lord gave us room for expansion. Unfortunately, many of us degress. And we want to figure out if we can live on 5% instead of trying to see what would actually happen if we started to use 11, 12, 13, or 14, or 15%. And my focus is to try to help women avoid the pitfalls. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Once you befall a severe case of being with an emotional vampire, it can be devastating for a lifetime. And if you're talking about having lost children or now being a mother and having no one there with you, if you're talking about losing so much financially because you invested in somebody who had no cares about you, if you've traveled from state to state or left family and friends behind to be with some man or whatever, it can be devastating, and a lot of women don't recover. And so the hard part is, I know now when I speak to women, Some of them refuse to even think about coming out of the shell that some man has placed them in. That even when you give a compliment, they turn it into a negative word. They turn it into a curse word. It's sad that when I say to a woman, you're beautiful, she automatically believes I want sex from her. I don't. I'm happily married. There was a time, maybe. And it's sad that when you try to find compliments to give, honest compliments to say, I like the way your clothes look, I like your hair, I like the way you dress today. And I'm a teacher. So when I'm working with our fellow educators, and I'll say to a young lady, I like the way your hair looks today, I have actually seen women cringe. Like, oh, why are you all in my business? Wow. I'm trying to compliment you to let you know that you are attractive. But the damage is so deep, the wound is so wide that you can't stitch it back together. That's when we go to prayer and say, Lord, you got to fix it. I can't. If we're going to help each other, and I mean really help each other, the first thing is at times we're going to need to be brutally honest. A doctor doesn't come to you and say you're going to live forever when he knows you're only going to live for a few days. If he tells you that, he knows he's going to have to lie to you because he knows you just can't deal with the truth. I feel the truth is like medicine and has to be given, and then we deal. I'm not going to lie to you and say you're going to live forever and you only got a few days, because there's things you would do differently if you knew you only had a few days. So women that are watching this, and please share it, and I appreciate the hearts. Again, I apologize if I'm not acknowledging the hearts. I love them. I get wrapped up into the message, and I apologize, but definitely I love the hearts. Continue to give it. I've got to start learning how to be a better heart pimp. But what I'm saying is, and I'm being honest, I was a horrible man. Horrible. And I feel I owe it to God. I owe it to my wife. I owe it to every woman that I've ever treated badly to stand on that rock and be the light for women that I have not met, for women that I know, for women that may only hear my voice and we may never meet, and this may be the only way that we actually meet each other, and that's fine. But I'm going to be an example of what a man should be. I'm going to make sure that my students, my sons, anybody who comes across KL Belvin will say, I like the way that dude does what he does. Because if I can shine the light on enough, and that's the key to the vampire movies, well, the ones that I like, is that when you shine the light on, when sunlight hits them, what happens? They disappear. They shrivel up. They've even started to change that now if you watch the movies. We got them walking around in daylight, and they're glistening like diamonds. So Hollywood wants you to believe now that vampires are so cute that they're like diamonds. You should wear them, and they're accessories. Stop. In the end, aren't they bloodthirsty predators? So we can't allow society to change our thinking, because actually what they're doing is changing your thinking about you. Haven't you ever wondered why the heavy-set female is always sexually frustrated or so vivaciously sexual that she's uncontrollable to as a joke? That the heavy friend is always the one that's sexually out of control, whether white or black. Look at Bridesmaids, I think was the movie, and the young lady who plays Tammy in the movie, and I forget her name, forgive me for not knowing her name. She was the one overtly sexual. Why? Because she's heavy. So because she's heavy, she can't control herself sexually. And when you watch the movies of color, the heavy sister is always the one who just can't get enough penis. She can't stop talking about it. She can't stop thinking about it. Every other word is about penis and this and this and this. Or some out of control behavior that is clearly not something that real men would want. So why do they make full-figured women act and seem that way? And then when you hear the actresses who play these roles, they are some of the nicest speaking, nicest acting women. So you don't actually get to see and hear them. Now, the reason why I mentioned at the very beginning of this, you should check out my girl Phoenix Rain, is because she said something that I love. Her characters are characters of size. Thank God. Because I like to read a story about a full-figured woman. I loved in Why Did I Get Married that Jill Scott found a husband. I'm a Jill Scott fan. Actually, my wife and I have an agreement. If she's kidnapped by aliens, Woo! Jill Scott better worry. I'll be in Philly before the aliens take off. That's the agreement. Don't judge my marriage. That said, if she's kidnapped by aliens, I didn't say why we're happily married. I mean, she's being whisked away to another dimension, all of that. And I'm in a train to Philly. But no, I am such a Jill Scott fan because I am attracted to her size. I am attracted to her talent. And I'm attracted to her honesty as a woman. If you listen to her album when her and her husband broke up, it was a very dark and nasty album. I didn't like it because all her pain came through, and these sexual songs that weren't her. She had, I think, 16 songs, and of the 16, I think I counted as 9 that alluded to some type of sexual something. Now, the music was okay, but when I listened to the lyrics, I was like, oh my God, Jill, what's going on? I didn't jump ship because the albums got better because she got better. And I am always a fan of those who can reflect themselves in their talents and reflect real life in their talents, because that's what I try to write. When I wrote my book, From Gigolo to Jesus, it is because I wanted you to understand what I was when I was the gigolo. And like, I think someone questioned me one day at a book signing, and they said, well, how could you put from gigolo to Jesus? You calling yourself Jesus? No, not at all. But a gigolo is somebody who, when paid, becomes whatever the person who is paying wants them to become. That was me. And Jesus is the goal. Jesus is where I'm hoping to get to someday, to stand in front of him and say, Lord, didn't think I'd be here. So there's a thought process behind the title of my book. And inside the book, I put down dirt. But what I did out of respect to the women that I had been with, I changed all the names except for my wife, my ex-wife, excuse me, because that's public knowledge. That's public knowledge that I was married. So there's no reason to change and give my ex-wife a different name. Everybody knew who I was married to. But every other woman who I mentioned in some form or fashion, I changed the name because they may not want their significant other to know what they were, who they were with. And that was just my way of showing some respect. But at the same time, I put the dirt down in my book because I felt it should be known. Now, was it the best written book ever? No, because I went back and I looked and there were some things that I felt I could do differently. So I'm actually going to add to it. But I'm happy with what I gave out to the world because I gave out honesty. The technical things, I'll learn that and I'll grow as a writer, so I don't stress that. But it was the technical parts that I don't stress, but it was my heart that I put out. That is why I try to tell women, don't get caught into society's trap. Society doesn't have your heart in mind. I don't care how many of those shows you watch when somebody stares into the camera and they take their glasses off for effect and they go, there was a time when... Do not forget that Hollywood is based on acting. And if there's money to be made, the actor or actress is going to act the best that they can. Trust your heart. Trust your thoughts. Trust God. And understand that a combination of those 3 things, and if you build your surrounding fortress based on that, choose your friends based on your heart and your head and God, you will start to see that the pillars around you will be fortified, that people cannot get close to you. Have male friends who don't want anything but to see you do well. Why? Because the minute they hear you talking about a dude and they hear something that's wrong, girl, wait a minute. What that dude earned to be that close to you? But if you do not build the surrounding foundation right, well, the Bible talks about what happens to a man that builds his house on sand. You don't need to do that. So my hope, as I bring this segment to a close, and I felt self-esteem, and I said I wanted to make sure that I talked about self-esteem because, let me tell you something. Self-esteem gives off a distinct aroma. It has a distinct look. I'll give you an example. Do you know how many times I've looked women in the eye and smiled and simply reached out my hand and I've watched them do this? And I've watched them actually turn away. How many times that I've danced with a woman and said to her, "You look beautiful tonight," and the first reaction was, "No, I don't." Really? You got dressed? You came to the club? You said yes to dance with me. I give you a compliment that you look beautiful, and the first thing out of your mouth is negative? Do you know how many women that right before having sex, I can't say it was making love because my emotions wasn't there, but how many women that right before sex wanted the lights completely off so I couldn't see their body? You agreed to have sex with me, but you don't want me to see you? Do you know how many women in the midst of having sex won't make any noise, won't say anything? So you don't want me to even hear that you're enjoying yourself? Because they're confused. So to any men that see this, it is our job, yes, our job, to establish that it is about uplifting our partners, making our women understand that we care about who they are, what they are doing, where they are going, and that we offer protection of their heart first, long before we request to have it as part of our lives. So ladies, if he's not doing those things, trust your heart. Listen to your head. And believe that God would not send you someone who's going to look to destroy you, but build you up. Because low self-esteem is such a deep pit that you actually start to lose the sunlight. You actually start looking at the beauty in this world. You actually start to see the mirror as a horror movie. You actually start to dress according to that horror movie. You actually start to stop caring. So you end up laying next to dudes that as it's happening, you're feeling disgusted. You actually can't wait for him to leave your house, but a part of you is still screaming, why did I even let him in my house? You're at a doctor's office worried that you have something because you knew he had no condom on. You had condoms in your bag, but yet you didn't want to offend him. So you didn't say, please put the condom on. So you let him do what you knew was wrong, what you knew was going to be a negative outcome. And the whole time, right behind your teeth was your tongue screaming, yo, tell him to stop. Your brain screaming, tell him to stop. Your heart screaming, yo, make him get off of you. And it's after he leaves, because now he has to get up and go home quickly, maybe to his wife or whoever. You call a girlfriend who goes, come on, you thinking too much. You should have just enjoyed it. And she wants anatomy information, anatomy details. How was this? How was that? When your voice is clearly different than before he came to the house. Understand that there's some brothers who sit and think about all this. I'm one of them. And I will do anything that I can to try to help you. But understand this, I don't care whether it's me or any other brother on Scope, Facebook, or any other social media, any other event that you go to, any conference that you go to. Our words mean nothing if you're not ready to allow them in to your heart, put them inside your head to formulate actual application, and then look towards God as who's going to guide you once you put this into motion. Because if you do nothing, then those vampires won't go. And if you ever watch the vampire movies like I do, have you ever noticed that the vampires go, you don't believe, so it don't work. You have to believe the cross to be holy. You had to believe that you could defeat a vampire to get rid of him. I'm not talking about the new movies. The new movies would have you gassed up, as I said. But I'm a big movie junkie because in movies there's writing, and that writing came from real humans, and real humans had to think about this. So please pay attention. If you believe you're greater than you are, you become greater. Because as you believe it, you start to practice it. And anything that you practice, you get better at. So once you start to believe it in here, and you start to practice it in here, and you start to focus up there, all of a sudden your steps start to lay out, and then the men you meet. Because you'll actually start to meet men who are already in relationships who will say, keep going, girl, that's how my wife was. Don't take that as an insult. They're saying to you, I see in you what I saw in my wife, which means all you now have to do is meet a dude who hasn't met his wife yet, because you're that. God don't make this difficult. We do. If you, people ask me all the time, what made you stop whoring to fall for your wife? You know what it was? She put her foot down and said, it's either going to be God and me, or you choose the whores in the street. Which is it going to be? Because I can't do this no more with you. You make a choice. You're going to tell me to make a choice. And I had to humble myself because I understood her worth. She understood her worth. She knew that her and God was more than I needed, and was willing to let me walk out the door because she knew that was more than any man needed. And I realized it at that moment because she held her ground on what she knew was right. And we got married 1.5 years later, and we've been together since. And I haven't been back out there with the whores. So I'm saying to you, if you're watching this, watch every scope you can. Go to every conference that you like to. Read every magazine, every book. Listen to every motivational speaker that you believe is going to help you. But in the end, if it's not in here, and it's not formulated in here, and you don't have God out. Now you may say, well, you keep mentioning God. What if I don't believe in God? Okay. If it's not in here, and if it's not here, and if you're not self-checking what you put out into the world, you're going to be in a devastating place. The reason why I choose God, and I tell people to choose God, because when you look at the way scriptures is written, other than our religious fanatics, it's actually written in a way to keep you safe, which saves you from having to come up with your own assessments. I can assess it based on something that I read. But if that's not for you, then you have to formulate your own self-assessments and to make sure that you're following proper principle. I just try to make it simple because God makes it simple. So again, hey, I don't see no hearts over there. Let's go. Give me some hearts. I'm heart pimping right now before I close out here. Can a brother get some hearts? Let me know that you, there we go. Let a brother know that you're enjoying what I'm saying. I appreciate it. But listen, please share. Please tell folks to come by and replay. And if they don't get a chance to see it, I place all my scopes on my YouTube page, which is YouTube KL Belvin. Everything is KL Belvin. Yes, so you can always go to YouTube if you miss my scopes. Once I'm done, I take the time out to put them on Facebook, and I upload them to my YouTube page. But again, as I said, I am an educator, author, poet, mentor, husband, father, and man of God, and business owner, entrepreneur. I wear a lot of hats because I have to stay busy. Idle hands are the devil's hands. I'm always here to speak. If you need to reach out to me, you can send me an email, mainoffice@Bravin, that's BRAVIN, publishing.com. If you want to come by my website, it's www.bravenpublishing.com. But my website is my literary service site because I provide literary services for authors. I help authors create their books and to become self-published. But if you need to reach out to me, if you need me to come and speak, if you just want someone to speak to, send me an email. I'm on Facebook, KL Belvin. I'm on Google Plus, KL Belvin. I'm on Twitter, KL Belvin. You're seeing the theme here. I'm also on Twitter, Braven Books. That's my my publishing company's Twitter account. And I am open to come and discuss anything, but understand I am a professional, so I can always work out some type of honorarium. I just can't jump in my car and drive thousands of miles for free, but we can work on something because it's more about the message than money. Sometimes I do it for free simply because I want to try to save lives. But as a professional, I do have a little 17-month-old princess I need to take care of. So we can always work something out. And I'm always going to act from a compassionate state first. So it is not always about the money. It is sometimes simply about gas money. But I hope that you took something from what I said today. I do hope that you share on Twitter and with the other people that are on your page. Hey, there we go. And before I go, if there's any questions, feel free. Any questions that you have about emotional vampires, low self-esteem, why men choose full-figured women to prey upon, I think I explained that. But if you have any questions, if you want to know anything about my books are on Amazon and anywhere books are sold. But I would say purchase the book from my website simply because Amazon likes to hold authors hostage for a large percent, but it's a necessary evil. So it is what it is. But I just say get the book wherever you can get it and read it and let me know what you think. I put all my dirt in my book From Gigolo to Jesus, my new book. Okay, well, first you have to find out where is he lacking in his confidence? And the question was, how can she help her son with her confidence? First, find out where he's lacking in his confidence. What is he having doubts about as a young man? That's the first thing, because then it allows you to zero in on what he's having difficulty with. The second thing is see if it's just a matter of fear of himself. Okay, well, if it's in himself, it's still something directly. Like it could be fear of failure, it could be fear of standing out, it could be fear of not being part of the group. You have to kind of try to single out what he's having difficulty with, because then you can work to build him up from there. You might want to look at the friends that he has or how he's going about making his friends, how he's spending his time socially. If he's not involved in any activities, getting involved in activities on any level is fantastic. Another good one is bowling. I love to bowl, but bowling is something that you don't have to be built in any particular form, shape, whatever. You can be heavy, you can be skinny, you can be anybody. Males, females, whoever, old, young, all bowl. And it's actually very competitive, and you can actually get scholarships to go to school. My wife and I bowl competitively every Monday, and I think my best season of bowling, I made $13,000 that I had to pay some taxes on, but that's what I would do. Have a good conversation with him, see if he's willing to get to what really he's nervous or feeling negative about, and we can go from there. When I work with my students, I'm normally, of my 18 years of teaching, have basically been spent with middle school. I was a high school dean for a couple of years, and middle school is pretty much where I've spent the bulk of my time. And one of the things I've noticed about children is their initial behavior is not, that's the tip of the iceberg. It's what's really under the water. And if you give it time and you pay attention, you'll then start to be able to get under that water and see what the rest of the iceberg is looking like, and be able to now focus on directly what you can do to fix him. Also, plenty of love. Reassure him that no matter what else is going on in the world, you have him. And then any other family members that feel the same as you, same thing, even let them come and spend time with him so he can see it, because he's going to expect it from his parents. But if you can now bring other family members in, cousins, I'm sounding like so country, cousins. Cousins are tremendous in that aspect, because they are family members, but they are the same age, and they can do a lot of things alike and together. And because they're family, they're not going to bully as much as other students might. So definitely look to incorporate other family members to assist you in building up the esteem. And that would help you, and thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate it. Any other questions? Feel free. This is what I like to do on Scope. So if my scopes run long, listen, come back, watch the replays. I have no problem with it, because it is about helping. So feel free. Any questions? I will gladly ask any questions. And listen, nothing offends me. If you just hate the fact that I was a man whore, give it to me. It's all right. I beat myself up many a nights about it, but then I let it go. But again, any questions on the subject matter, anything just in general. Like I said, I wear a lot of hats. So if you feel free, like I said, and just recapping, like I said, with society and your friends, look at your circles. Look at how you spend your time. Also, real quick before I jump off, even the way you scope. Now, this is very critical and may step on some toes. Be careful that you're not aligning yourself with people who scope, who are claiming that they have a lot going on. But if you listen closely, they're in as much pain as they say they're trying to get rid of. Be careful, because you may be absorbing some of that pain, and your self-esteem is not getting any better. And as I mentioned before, now that hole has gotten bigger with a whole lot of people who have something to connect to, which is scope, but they're not getting better. Remember, you should be enhanced by the people you surround yourself with. If you don't find yourself getting better, and when you're getting better, you're doing better. And when you're doing better, your thoughts are better, your actions are better, your applications are better. So just because you come on Scope every day and watch some of the same people every day, the question is, are you learning? Are you gaining? Are you growing? And is your life changing? You can do the same thing every day and get the same results and believe that you're doing great. And you look up and 30 years went by. I'm just, and again, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I keep it real and I call it like I see it. I watch a lot of Scopes. I don't comment, but I'm watching and I'm listening to the information and I'm saying to myself, how is that going to help somebody grow when you just said you're struggling with X, Y, and Z? Well, if you're struggling, how could you help me? Or how could you tell me to do X, Y, and Z, but you're not actually practicing it? Then that means you don't actually believe it or it doesn't work. Because then why would you pass it off to me? That's like someone handing you a broken cell phone and saying, see if you can get it to work. It doesn't work for me. And then when you're sitting there staring at it, what good is it to you? Thank you for the hearts. So again, this has been KL Belvin. I'll run it down to you real quick. Main office at Braven Publishing. Oh, you have to give solutions. Yes. That drives me crazy when I don't see why people don't. I want to say this the right way. I'm not that much about political correctness. I'm about spiritual correctness. When you give me something and tell me it's good or it works, I need to see proof that it's worked for you. Don't hand it to me and tell me it's good for me and you're not falling all over about it. I'm not with that. See, I give me an example because I'm doing great and I want other people to live as great as I'm living. But am I at the mountaintop? No, but I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying my wife. I'm enjoying my daughter. I'm enjoying being a new person. And I share that and people can see it. And when they see me in public, they see exactly what they see online. I don't sugarcoat it. And not every day is a great day, but that's part of being human. But when I come on here, I'm not going to sell you all these, and I'm this and I wear all these hats and everything is great. Listen, I'm out here trying to struggle to make sure my bills is paid, but I'm comfortable because I work very hard. Don't advise me on how to be organized if you can. Yes. And I don't, like I said, I just sit and watch a lot of Scopes and I see people will say, I'm this, I wear this, and I wear that hat, and I wear this hat. And then I'll actually hear them say, but last night and yesterday I was, and oh my God, and I was so, wait a minute. Didn't you just sit here and tell a bunch of people watching you that gave you all these hearts that you're thanking them for doing what they're doing, and you just admitted that you don't do it? Come on. And the sad part is the people watching who are trying to get help, it's I don't want to cause the pastor any problem syndrome. I don't want to say that the pastor just completely chopped up a scripture that I just sat here and read and it didn't say that, because I don't want to be that person. Well, you know what? I'll be that person. But I'll treat you with respect and not say your name because I'm not want to get into an argument with you. I'm just going to say to the people watching, demand more from your leaders. No problem. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming by, Steph. Thank you so much. Demand more from the people that you give your heart to. Demand more from the people that you wrap your thoughts around. Demand more from the people that you say are helping you lead you to God. You come to me and tell me it's something I should wrap my heart around. I'm not just saying, okay, I want it. Why? Why is this so important to you? Why are you offering this to me? If you say this technique is the best technique going, okay, before I put it into motion, can you tell me what's the highs and lows of it? What's the roadblocks I should be considering? What's going to come up? And when you put God on it, when you mention God and say, this is what God says, or this is what God is about, you better come correct. Because in a classroom, all my students that I have ever worked with understand that I say to them, I am not fallible. I am fallible. Lord, don't say that. I'm fallible. I'm not perfect. I just got to the information before you. That doesn't make me smarter than you. It just means I have more information right now. But I am open to listen to anything that you come up with, because you might come up with something that I never even thought about. But I am definitely going to show you that I am worthy to be in front of you. I am going to show you that I know what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to ask you to join me in learning. And then at some point, I'm going to let you go to do this on your own. I'm going to let you go as groups in this classroom to show me that you got it. I'm not going to be there to help you. I'm going to step back because I've given you the tools, and now I want to see you doing it. But first, I have to make sure that you understand and trust that I know what I'm doing. I'm not just that way in the classroom. I'm that way in life. When I'm on scopes, I watch. I want to see that you got it. I want to see that you believe it. I want to see the outcomes. I'll go by your website and take a look. I'll see if you wrote the books that you said you wrote. I'll see if you got the accolades that you say you got. Or are you on scope 24 hours a day and doing nothing else? Not that that's a bad thing, but then how does the business get done? How does the work get done? It's okay to come on every day. But if you're getting your work in, share that. Share the difficulties of that. That all affects esteem. Because we have some folks who are really hurting, dying, taking their lives, giving their lives to others for no reason. We can't come on here and act like we know it all when someone's life may be in the balance. Someone may be watching this right now and say, thank God that somebody understands. I have to make sure that the information that I give is concise, that a person can use it when they get off, when they turn off their phone, and can sit down and say, I need to think about some of the things that brother said. I have to, that responsibility is mine. God says the word that he writes in the scriptures is a double-edged sword, meaning it cuts the person that says it first, long before it cuts the person that hears it. I believe in that. So I'm mindful of what I say to others. I'm mindful of what I ask others to do, and I make sure that I'm attempting to do it, struggling with it. And another reason why I might give it to you while I'm struggling with it, you might be better at it than me. But I have to at least admit that and say, well, it's something I've been struggling with, but maybe you can do better with it. That's why we have to have great friends around us. So again, I hope that this has been helpful to all that have listened. Feel free to reach out to me at main office at bravenpublishing.com. That's BRAVIN publishing.com. I am on Facebook. I am on every social network. Or if you just want to Google KL Belvin to see who I am, that's fine. I always joke with my students. You can find me that way. But I am who I say I am, and I am who you see. And again, I hope that this has been something that is going to help change your life in a way, in a positive way. Take care. God bless.